Hello and welcome to another Cliff Reviews Art House. This time I'm reviewing the 1960 film Psycho, directed by Alfred Hitchcock. Psycho is a fantastic film, almost perfectly constructed. From the very first frames, it grips you. Hitchcock takes us on a journey that builds steadily towards one of cinema's most spectacular conclusions. The story itself is tight and deceptively simple, but it's in the execution that the film becomes extraordinary. The camera work is fantastic. The infamous shower scene has become one of the most iconic moments in film history. But Hitchcock's innovation extends further. I love, for example, the moment when the detective falls down the stairs, an ingenious blend of camera trickery and screen projection that still feels inventive today. Anthony Perkins is exceptional as Norman Bates. His performance is so finely judged. Charming and sympathetic one moment, unnervingly shifty the next. He remains one of the most memorable characters in film. Janet Leigh is also terrific, but it's definitely Perkins who defines this film's enduring power. One of the things that makes Psycho so groundbreaking is the way it dismantles narrative expectations. Killing off Marion Crane, who seems to be the protagonist, just a third of the way through the film was unprecedented in 1960. Audiences were really shocked. Suddenly the safety net of conventional storytelling was gone and anything could happen. I think that destabilisation still works today and is part of why the film still feels unnerving. The film was also scandalous for its time. Hitchcock pushed censorship boundaries with implied nudity, graphic violence, and even something as mundane as showing a flushing toilet, taboo in Hollywood in 1960. It was a film that scandalised as much as it thrilled. Psycho was a real cinema event. Sound is central to the power of the film. Bernard Herrmann's score, especially the shrieking violins of the shower scene, is as famous as the visuals. But Hitchcock balances this with silence. The absence of music in moments of dread makes the shocks land harder. There's also the theme of voyeurism. Norman spying on Marion through the peephole makes us complicit in his perversion. The opening scene, lingering on Marion in her underwear, toys with the audience's gaze in the same way. Hitchcock forces us to acknowledge our own voyeurism, just as he manipulates us into sympathising with Norman once Marion is dead. Yet revisiting the film today, it's harder to admire this purely as formal brilliance. Knowing Hitchcock's troubling behaviour towards some of his female actors, there is an added unease here. The theme of voyeurism feels even more uncomfortable when set against the director's own improprieties. The setting itself becomes symbolic. The Bates Motel is ordinary, almost banal, but the looming Gothic house on the hill dominates the film visually and psychologically. Its three levels mirror Norman's divided psyche: the mother upstairs, Norman himself on the ground floor, and the darkest truths buried in the basement. The architecture becomes a map of madness. It's no wonder the house has become iconic in its own right. The set still stands today on the Universal Studios tour, a reminder of how deeply Psycho has embedded itself into popular culture. If I have one criticism of Psycho, it's the long psychological explanation by the psychologist that's tacked on at the end. It feels unnecessary. The film works better without someone spelling out Norman's condition for us. The closing shot, however, Norman in silence, the ghost of his mother's voice in his head, and that fleeting superimposed skull is chilling and unforgettable. One thing I'm not sure about today is the title, Psycho. It's brutally effective, short, sharp, unforgettable. It's one of the greatest marketing titles in cinema history, and yet, does it sit comfortably today? The word is a casual slur for mental illness, a crude reduction of a complex condition to something monstrous. We all accept the film as a classic, but do we stop to think whether it still stands up today? This is a violent film, and horror by its nature shows us horrific things. I don't think there's any problem with the film itself, but the title feels dated, even jarring. I'm not sure I would change it. It's become inseparable from the film's identity, but I do think it's important to acknowledge the problem here in contemporary language. More than 60 years on, Psycho remains a landmark. The film that created the modern horror genre, paved the way for the slasher, and showed how cinema could manipulate, shock and unsettle like nothing else. It still looks great today. It's as stylish as it is disturbing, as clever as it is brutal. A masterpiece that still has the power to disturb. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.